Welcome to Can You Hold My Attention? Kingswood U.S. CEO and industry veteran Derek Bruton invites his guests to discuss and debate the latest trends and hottest topics facing financial advisors today. The guest list represents a who's who of the financial services industry. Derek's goal is to provide you with insight into how he and other leaders think about today's challenges and plan for future success. And now, let's see whether or not today's guest can hold Derek's attention.
Leading edge innovation, that's what we're talking about today. I'm talking pushing the envelope, leaving your competitors in the dust innovation. And my guest today, Eric Clarke, CEO of Orion Advisor Services, the fastest rising star in FinTech and wealth management, is quickly becoming one of the great innovators and most accomplished business leaders in our industry. Friends and colleagues, welcome to Can You Hold My Attention? My goal with this podcast is quite simply to drill down into industry topics that I understand are most important to you and to your business. I'm going to address these topics at pace with my guests, challenge them where they've never been challenged, and only stay on conversations that are holding my attention. You will walk away from this podcast with an idea or strategy or thought that will benefit you professionally or personally. Bottom line, give me 30 minutes of your day and I'll make sure it's time well spent. Eric Clarke has been at the helm of Orion Advisor Services since 1999. I met Eric in 2004 while I was at TD Ameritrade, and he was just launching, I believe, Eric, you were just launching your technology. I remember Eric as being this perfect blend of a very quiet, very reserved leader with the tenacity of a pit bull going after a pork chop. He and his team have built really the industry's top technology platform for independent advisors, but he's ranging into asset management and many other areas as well. And I'll let him talk about that with you. So welcome, Eric.
Well, Derek, thank you very much. It's certainly an honor to be with you today. And I look forward to engaging on innovation, FinTech, and all things top of mind to advisors right now. So thank you for having me on your podcast.
Well, you're welcome. And you know, Eric, every time your name comes up in a conversation, people always say, Eric's had a ton of success, but you know what? He's just a good guy. So what gives here, Eric? I mean, are you giving out a lot of free software? I know you're in Omaha, so maybe it's the Omaha steaks you're sending out to people for Christmas. I mean, are you really that good of a guy?
Well, Derek, you know what? Being in the fiduciary advisor space, I think is just a great space to be in. You know, helping advisors do the right thing for their clients is really what gets me excited each and every day to come in and serve the advisors that we do. We believe that the future of this business is fiduciary. And being able to help the right side of Wall Street win, so to speak, is something that you know I think is especially motivating to us each and every day. And hopefully that translates through into the work that we do and our corporate culture, and certainly the way that we behave and interact with the opportunities that we have or the advisors that we have an opportunity to serve.
Oh yeah, it's an exciting business, no doubt. And I know you're very passionate, and I think that's what people mean when they say you're a good guy. So, okay, let's first talk about what's going on at Orion and how you all are influencing the lives and businesses of financial advisors, our audience. And then we'll put on our visionary glasses and provide our listeners with some thoughts and ideas to ponder regarding the future of wealth management. So we'll start, maybe at 10,000 feet, then we'll range up to 30,000 here. So, how has this year been for Orion? It's certainly been a different one for many. And how have you adapted to what's going on in the world with the pandemic? And what have you learned from all of this?
It's definitely been a year of Darwinian evolution, I think, for all of us. We've realized that we can work remotely, that we can operate our businesses successfully without being in the office, sitting shoulder to shoulder, elbow to elbow, so to speak. And it's been just an unbelievable year for us. We've successfully transitioned, our teams to working from home, as has everyone else during this pandemic. For me personally, I've realized that Derek, that my teenagers can't distinguish what uses Wi-Fi bandwidth and what doesn't. It's completely ubiquitous to them. I think as we step back and we look at some of the key learnings for us, we have most often been so busy and wrapped up in growing the business and getting out and traveling and meeting partners and colleagues and advisors. And for us, it's presented an incredible opportunity to work on our business. And we have taken advantage of that. We've revisited the Traction enterprise operating system. We have redefined our mission, vision, and values. And amidst all of that, we had the opportunity to merge with Brinker Capital, which for us was just great. It's been incredible to see our teams come together and really accelerate our continued success in the marketplace. But we did all that, Derek, without actually having met the Brinker team face to face. We have, since we started going through the due diligence process, we have met for a grand total of 4 hours in person at the Chicago O'Hare Airport. And, outside of that, everything's been done on Zoom. So I think that we're all very fortunate to have the technology in place that we do today that allows us to successfully operate our businesses remotely.
It's amazing. I've talked to a lot of people about how difficult it is to establish rapport in this environment. And, and it's tough to do if you're not face to face. 4 hours at a Chicago O'Hare Airport. That's your standard delay, right? At O'Hare. So you can get in a lot of work there, but still 4 hours. That is amazing. And congratulations on what, kind of capturing the moment and taking advantage of everything, given the cards we've been dealt here. I want to move on and talk a little bit about independence and flexibility. And, advisors love flexibility. I know I've heard that over the years. They like to have choices. It's synonymous with independence. But I found too much flexibility often paralyzes advisors. I like going to Cheesecake Factory and seeing a menu that's longer than a Tolstoy novel, but at the same time, it can be quite overwhelming and I end up getting the same darn Caesar salad I always get. Advisors want choices, but importantly, I think they also want direction. And so my question to you is, how important is it for Orion to lead advisors down the path of what technologies they choose for their business versus just making a bunch of options available to them?
I think as an industry, it's a couple of things come to mind. I think we have moved past integrations, and we're talking about connections. We're talking about connecting the prospecting process with the planning process. We're talking about connecting the planning with the investments, connecting the investments to the specific goals that the investor has. And ultimately that connected fiduciary framework is what we're focused on here at Orion. And we have found that it's incredibly important for us to lead by listening. And, when we look at the acquisitions that we've done over the past 3 years, we've been focused on adding value and capabilities where we're hearing the most feedback from the advisors that we serve. And I think that as we have looked to lead by listening to those top advisors that we have the good fortune of doing business with, it's allowed us to see a real opportunity to tech enable that fiduciary framework.
So it's not just the capabilities that you're talking about, but it's how well they work together. And I know that in running an RIA, it's you can talk about the best financial planning, the best performance reporting, the best fee billing, but how they work together is really, I feel, is what drives efficiency in our office. Would you agree?
I totally agree. And when we look at what is the standard, what's the benchmark that we're comparing ourselves to. It cannot be the bank or the financial institution across the street from us. It needs to be on par with experiences outside of financial services. Right. So we need to be looking at Netflix and Spotify and Uber and even Apple to say, what can we do to make our user experience stand out from the crowd, be different than the competition, accentuate our value proposition and the things that make us unique, and really put things that drive incredible experience and ultimately better investor behavior at the forefront of what we're offering to clients.
So how do you balance the desire and the need to offer your own solutions? Because I know you've got, through acquisition, through what you've built, you've got some great solutions yourself, but you also pride yourself on your integrations with third-party technologies and firms that you don't own. But how do you balance this need for your to maintain and offer your own solutions while also maintaining these healthy relationships with the competition who want to integrate with you?
Well, we've had the good fortune over the years of building out our technology on an open API structure that allows us to dynamically interact with our integration partners. They can simply, in a very real-time way, tap into the same API layer of our system that our in-house tech staff uses to build out our user experience. So for us, Derek, it kind of goes back to something Rick Edelman said years ago, and he was talking to a group of advisors, and he mentioned the importance of narrow casting into a niche to be successful. And for us, as we look at serving 2,000 plus advisory firms, each of those firms that we serve has a different and unique value proposition, a specific niche or a group of clients that they're serving. So we have to be very flexible, and having that open API framework has really allowed us to not only provide a connected experience with our own technology, but connect other technologies that our advisors use. A good example of that is the Redtail CRM system, right? You see a lot of advisors using and leveraging Redtail to be successful. And for us, we're constantly looking at ways that we can make those workflows more connected with Redtail. How can we help drive a more efficient, prospecting to client process, and ultimately putting the information that our advisors need right at their fingertips inside of Redtail, as an example of what you're referring to. I think your question, Derek, really gets to the core of what's an independent advisor. And an independent advisor, in our mind, is all about not only being a fiduciary, but making sure that they have the very best technology to execute on the niche of clientele that they want to serve.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's got to be tough. I mean, I bet the leadership team at Redtail is wondering when's Eric going to get into the CRM business, and when are we going to have that conversation? But like you said, I mean, you're serving the fiduciary in this business, and you're listening. You're leading by listening, as you put earlier, and I think that's really important. We'll be back right after this.
Orion's fully integrated trading suite, including a tax-intelligent rebalancer, custom SMA optimizer, and robust model marketplace, empowers you to personalize client portfolios while scaling back-office processes. Build client relationships with expanded investment offerings, custom workflows, and options trading in one seamless platform. Visit Orion.com to learn more.
Let's move on. Let's talk a little bit about consolidation in our industry. I want to maybe start at the RA industry in general, then talk a little bit about what you guys are doing. Seems like, there's a deal announced every day. I woke up this morning, there was at least 2 or 3 already today. So how does the rate of consolidation impact your strategic planning? Because you've got firms that use Orion and maybe use one of your competitors that are coming together, and that's obviously it's a catalyst for a conversation, at least with that leadership team. How's it impacting your strategic planning?
Well, we have seen over 100 M&A deals across the firms that we support on our tech platform year to date. So, 2020, with all of its headwinds of the pandemic impacting everyone's strategic plans and throwing curveballs at all of us, look, we're still seeing deals get done. And I think, Derek, private equity is fueling deals in our space right now, because when you step back and you look at financial services, the fiduciary space is growing the fastest. And in fact, because it's growing the fastest, it's attracting an outsized amount it's more than its fair share of capital, so to speak, is pouring into this space right now. So you're seeing investments being made in platforms like ours that drive scale to our advisors. You're seeing investments get made that drive operational efficiencies, better user experiences. We're making big investments in personalization, here at Orion to hopefully in a very elegant way line up that tech-enabled fiduciary process. But you're also seeing private equity firms invest in consolidators and provide equity to firms to get out and actually maybe not create a national brand, but create a regional brand. Take best practices with regard to marketing and ways that you can effectively grow and apply those towards the businesses that they're purchasing. And we're seeing the organic growth rates, off the charts as a result of those firms that are replicating successful processes as they acquire other firms.
Is this pace of consolidation healthy for our industry?
I think it's a reality for the industry. I think that you're going to see continued success by independent advisors that are part of a larger firm and independent advisors that are affiliated with, say, TAMPs, or they're affiliated with, networks like Michael Kitsis's XY Planning Network. You'll see almost a split, I think, in the industry where you're part of a larger independent firm or you're out on your own. And quite honestly, I see success in both of those models because of the technology that's available. It used to be you had to affiliate with the larger firm to get best in class tech. Today, independent advisors, I would argue, have access to better technology. And I think that technology acts as a great equalizer, and it's going to continue to level the playing field so that independent advisor will do just fine on their own.
I agree. And I want to talk in a bit about how that filters down to the why of why we're in this business. And that's the end investor, the American investor, and how they benefit from this. But before I leave this topic, what about your strategy? What is Orion's strategy moving forward as it relates to acquisitions?
Well, our acquisition strategy will center around three things. And those are the things that I mentioned a minute ago. We look for scale. Obviously, when we can do an acquisition that adds scale to us, it allows us to extend our scale and scale in pricing out to our advisors. The second thing that we look for is integration. If there's something that we can do that will drive operational efficiencies, then we're interested in that. And then the third thing is all around the personalization of the experience. What can we do to drive better client experiences? If somebody out there in the marketplace is doing a better job than us, then we're going to go after that. I think back of our acquisition in June of 2019 of a little financial planning business called Advisor. And Hussein Zedi and Mustafa Basiri did an excellent job of creating a client experience that was on par with Personal Capital. And by acquiring that business, it allowed us to extend that same capability to the advisors that we serve, and we think make a big, big impact on those firm's ability to grow.
Yeah. Well, I really enjoyed meeting the leadership team of Advisor. I think it was a couple summers ago, right in the middle of August. And I recall advising you on the first investment for that company was the air conditioning in their conference room. It was dead hot in there, but you see where my strategic counseling goes, Eric. Speaking, let's talk about the Brinker acquisition, and specifically, we noticed an update to Orion's mission statement at the time, right around then, which is to power the advisor client journey. Tell us about how you and your team identified this as a goal for the company.
Yeah, for us, when we set out, even 3 years ago to power that advisor client journey, we were looking at a technology stack that would help us to connect the prospect, plan, invest, achieve framework. And quite honestly, we were missing several pieces of that. So, some of those pieces we closed the gaps on with internal resources. We rolled out our marketer prospecting campaign tool that helps our advisors with digital ads and email campaigns. But we had to acquire the planning expertise. On the investment side, we saw the Brinker Capital merger as an incredible way for us to not only deepen our proprietary expertise in the realm of investments, but also just get an immense amount of scale and reach in broadening out our capabilities when it comes to providing true investment expertise. And all that ties back into helping the investor achieve their goals and make sure that they're aligned appropriately based on what their future intentions are, so to speak. So, we're big believers, Derek, that the future is fiduciary, and we want to help enable our fiduciary advisors to win.
Well, and let's go. I say go up to 30,000 feet because I mean in terms of the future here of our business, and I want to talk about that for a second. In a recent byline, we saw you say that the industry has undergone a transition from investment focused to planning focused, and that you think the next evolution of our business will be behavioral focused. Can you tell us a little more about that and also the role you see Orion playing in it?
Yeah, I mean, and I think if we step back and we look at it, we'd say that the investment problem has been solved, right? There have been Nobel Prizes awarded for solving the investment problem. If you're a strategic investor or a tactical investor or somewhere in between, if you stick with your investment long enough, we tend to see some favorable outcomes. Where we see the next evolution of this business is in regards to helping solving the investor problem. So Dalbar, along with others, they always will release data on top performing funds. But if you look at the investor returns that have bought and sold those funds, there's several hundred basis points discrepancy. And in some cases, you can take the very best performing mutual fund investments and the investor returns are negative. And so, we're just looking at that and saying, okay, the next horizon, kind of where we see the puck going in our industry, is all about helping to solve the investor problem. With the Brinker merger, we had an incredible opportunity to tap into the thought leadership of Dr. Daniel Crosby. We are beyond excited to think about the ways that we can revolutionize our tech offering to better match up with those behavioral principles that he has already started to drive and make an impact on in our business in every aspect to make sure that we're helping the advisor to solve the investor problem of those darn emotions that we all have of greed and fear that get in the way of our successful investing efforts.
Yeah. I mean, I was commenting on a previous show how I believe the American investor has benefited tremendously from the evolution in our industry. It's become much more affordable, if not completely free, to invest. The options from a technology standpoint and an investment standpoint are just out of this world. However, it still takes that fiduciary, it still takes that advisor to help clients kind of go through the noise of this industry and come out on the other end with solutions for themselves, so what fits them. And I love the work that you're doing there. Speaking of that, just true or false question, the rise and success of Robinhood is good for the independent financial advisor.
True.
And why?
What Robinhood represents is an opportunity to get people engaged in the investment process much earlier at a lower price point. And if we step back and we look at technologies that people are adapting, technologies that are helping people have better financial futures, Robinhood has definitely been squarely in that category. Now, I would say that it has some challenges, but it's a great introduction for so many people to get them exposure to the markets at fractional share prices, so to speak, that quite simply they wouldn't have the opportunity to participate in otherwise. The investors that Robinhood is working with are not the typical target market for a fiduciary investment advisor, but it gives investors an opportunity to engage earlier on in the process.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my daughter's a gleaming example of that. She opened up a Robinhood account. She would be probably a financial advisor's nightmare at this point, but in the future, she's going to have the needs, and there's going to be a defining line in her life where she's going to realize that she needs ongoing advice versus transactional help or guidance. So I think you're spot on there. Earlier you were talking about what companies you look to as you look to grow your business and innovate, and those companies are often outside of financial services, which is great, which is cool. So how close do you think, Eric, we are to an Alexa, for example, for financial services?
Well, I think we're right on the cusp of some very, very big and exciting developments in our space. Technology, the barriers to entry for access to leading edge or even bleeding edge technology is coming down. The amount of work that it takes us to tap into things today and exponentially improve our future outcomes are just much less than what they used to be. So, for instance, when we started this business, Derek, in the late 90s, it was a decision of, okay, we're going to use either Oracle or Microsoft SQL Server to support the backend database structure. Today, there are several open source database platforms that are doing new, amazing, and incredible things that drive scale. And I think that same open source revolution, if you will, that's applied and played out in the tech space is exactly what we're seeing play out in the advice space. And that's driving and fueling success for the independent advisor.
Well, Eric, I really appreciate your time today. You've certainly kept my attention, and the fact is, we could go on talking about these topics forever. I know you could, but you got to get on with your day. Stay safe, stay healthy, please, and thank you again for your insight this morning. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Derek. It's been a pleasure, and I look forward to hearing from any of the listeners with any additional feedback or questions they might have.
All right. Have a great day, Eric.
Thank you.